Hello and welcome, I'm Ananya Datta and I'm back with another edition of Race to Power. Here's what's coming up in the next 30 minutes. It was the first sitting session of the Parliament in India. After not reaching the majority mark, BJP's Narendra Modi says people want substance, not slogans from the opposition. While the Congress-led opposition raised important issues like NEET, inflation and unemployment. France is 6 days away from snap elections, one that is being called the most divisive elections in decades. But far-right leader Jordan Bardella has already given his verdict that his National Rally party is ready to assume power. We decode. Days after India's voters gave another mandate to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, but with a stronger opposition in the Parliament, the first session of the 18th Lok Sabha began earlier in the day. Prime Minister Modi took oath as the leader of the House on the first day of the session, with his newly inducted Council of Ministers also taking oath as members of Parliament. Even as the rejuvenated opposition indicated it is ready to take on the new government on multiple issues.
संसद का ये गठन भारत के सामान्य मानवीय के संकल्पों की पूर्ति का है। नए उमंग, नए उत्साह के साथ नई गति, नई ऊंचाई प्राप्त करने के लिए ये अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण अवसर है।
As the session began, the opposition leaders staged a protest against the BJP-led NDA government. Leaders of the India bloc, including Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, Congress leader Sonia Gandhi and Samajwadi Party leader Akhilesh Yadav, held up copies of the Indian Constitution in protest.
जो आक्रमण प्रधानमंत्री जी अमित शाह जी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पर, संविधान पे कर रहे हैं, वो हमारे लिए एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है, वो हम होने नहीं देंगे। इसीलिए हमने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ओथ लेते हुए हमने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पकड़ा था। धन्यवाद।
The beginning of the session also witnessed a row over the appointment of BJP's Bharti Ruhari Mahtab as pro-tem speaker. The pro-tem speaker is the senior most member of the House who administers the oath to newly elected members and also oversees the proceedings until a permanent speaker is elected, as President Draupadi Murmu administered the oath of office to Mehtab. The opposition expressed dissatisfaction over his appointment instead of 8-time Congress MP K. Suresh. They alleged that Suresh has been sidelined as he belongs to the Dalit community. India bloc MPs also refrained from assisting in the oath-taking ceremony. With the Parliament now in session, the opposition is gearing up to ramp up pressure on the NDA government for answers over alleged irregularities in the national competitive exams NEET and UGC NET. The opposition has said it will put pressure on the centre to ensure justice for the students. The first session of the Parliament will run until July 3rd. Following the two-day swearing-in ceremony, the election for the Lok Sabha Speaker is slated for June 26th. And President Murmu will address a joint session of both houses on June 27th. The debate on the motion of thanks to the President's address will begin on June 28th. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to respond to the debate on July 2nd. Now, the political atmosphere in France is tense. French President Emmanuel Macron's surprise announcement of an early election has triggered concerns among leadership of his own party as well. In the latest, France's interior and finance ministers expressed worry on the far-right success and the polarization in French politics. The leaders said that the country could see civil disorder and violence during and after the elections.
It's possible that there will be extremely strong tensions, first of all on the evening of the elections, so we'll be making sure that order is maintained. On Wednesday morning, on June 26th, I'll be holding a meeting with security and intelligence services to prepare the first and second rounds so they take place calmly, democratically. But mainly I'm afraid of tensions after the summer.
The concern over peace and stability stems from a series of protests and rallies that have rocked the European nation amid rising popularity of far-right parties following their sweeping mandate at the EU parliamentary elections. Not just French ministers but global leaders have also flagged concerns about the upcoming polls in France. Like German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has said that he is worried about the upcoming parliamentary elections in the country. Scholz added that he hopes that parties other than Marine Le Pen and Jordan Bardella's national rally emerge successful.
I'm a little hesitant to comment on election results before they happen. This goes for domestic elections and even more so for foreign ones. I'm indeed worried about the elections in France. I would like to underline that, and I hope that parties which are not Le Pen, to put it that way, are successful in this election. But it's up to the French to decide that.
As evident in France, a sense of fear, the concern of France's neighbouring countries and a wave of demonstrations all have one underlying factor in common: the rise of the far right. Protests against the far right continue as the polling day inches closer. Le Pen leader National Rally leader Jordan Bardella said that his party is ready to take over the country's reins.
I solemnly say to my compatriots that the National Rally today is the only movement capable of immediately and sensibly responding to the clearly expressed aspirations of the French people in 3 words: we are ready. That is why we are aware of the seriousness of what is at stake.
Polls show the far right in a comfortable lead as French President Emmanuel Macron's centrist party trails far behind. But there are parts of French society that are worried over the rise of far-right parties. Sunday saw thousands of protesters, particularly women, take to the streets. They fear a decline in reproductive rights, women's rights, should the National Rally come to power.
I'm here because I'm a woman and I don't want my rights to be taken from me because some far-right movement wants to take the power in France. And I want also to show that they are not welcome here, and I want to fight for those who can't fight, the people who are from the LGBT, the people who are not from France but they are welcome in France, so that's why.
During the debates around the legislation of the IVG, we could well observe how the far-right deputies were very uncomfortable with the subject. We're calling for the filling of cribs with French babies. So we're witnessing a comeback of an archaic order that women can't tolerate. And it is also a culture of hate that feminists have always abhorred, because feminists have always developed international solidarity, a culture of peace which is in total contradiction with the values of the National Rally.
The rising popularity of far-right party National Rally also has France's Muslim population worried. Following the party's strong mandate at the EU parliamentary elections, Muslims say that the country is at a dangerous juncture. The comments and growing fear were further cemented when far-right supporters took to the streets of Line last week, raising slogans like, and I'm quoting here, "We are Nazis and Islam out of Europe." The incident for many Muslims in France brought back the spotlight on what many have referred to as growing Islamophobia in a country that is home to 6 million Muslims, the largest in Europe. For the population, the National Rally Party rise means restrictions on Muslims to practice their religion. In 2021, the WION party had tabled a bill which called for a ban on quote-unquote Islamist ideologies and all kinds of headscarves in all public places. Currently, the law prohibits wearing headscarves in public schools and bans the wearing of full-face veils, such as the burqa, in public. Now, it's a crucial week for Democratic President Joe Biden and his rival Republican former president as they head into one of the most consequential presidential debates in decades. And both candidates are leaving no stones unturned to prep up for Thursday's debate on CNN. Reports say President Joe Biden has withdrawn to his country residence at Camp David in Maryland. Setting aside other engagements, he is said to be holding intensive practice sessions ahead of the first 2024 presidential debate with Donald Trump. The president's team is hopeful of a strong performance by Biden in order to dispel the narrative that he's too old and mentally unfit for another term. But many insiders fear the president could be exposed after a string of gaffes and awkward public appearances. According to reports, Joe Biden is planning to go on the offensive against Donald Trump. He's likely to underscore the voters the choice between a steady leader, a convicted felon, and threat to democracy. A likely direction of Trump's attack will be President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, especially after Hunter was recently convicted on 3 felony charges related to the purchase of a gun while allegedly being addicted to drugs. In the past too, Trump has raised questions about Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings when his father was vice president. And this could dominate the debate. For Donald Trump, the debate will give him a chance to move beyond the blanket coverage of the criminal conviction last month in the hush money case. Trump's camp plans to make Biden defend his administration's record on immigration and inflation. According to senior campaign advisor Brian Hughes, Trump will also question Biden on how he's dealing with a world on fire, referring to the Israel-Hamas conflict and Russia's assault on Ukraine. It's been 4 years since the rivals last shared the stage. The showdown between the two oldest candidates marks the first debate in history between a sitting president and a former one, taking place before either candidates and their party's official nominee. Biden and Trump will debate at a CNN studio in Atlanta with no audience. According to the masterfully negotiated debate setup, there will be no opening statements and each candidate's microphone will be muted, except when it's their turn to speak. No props or pre-written notes will be allowed on stage, and candidates will be given only a pen, a pad of paper, and a bottle of water.
It was a very dangerous period.
We'll begin with the fight against the coronavirus. President Trump, do you have a plan to reunite the kids?
Yes, we're working on it with Trump.
And as everyone wait for the Joe Biden-Donald Trump presidential debate, we take a closer look at what the voters are saying. Just last week, we told you about how about 20% of the voters are undecided. They are waiting for the debate to pick their choice of candidate. But there is another chunk of voters who are being referred to as double haters. Now, these are people not happy with either of the choices, Biden or Trump. They say the choices are same as last elections. Some say it's like choosing between the lesser of two evils. A latest poll by Pew Research Center found that a quarter of Americans hold unfavorable views of both the Republican and Democratic candidates. That makes them the least liked pair of presidential candidates in at least 3 decades. These double haters are likely to prove a critical voting bloc in November. They become even more crucial because it is expected to be a close election in the United States. There are multiple factors leading to this situation, one of the main one being age. People are concerned about how old the candidates are, with Joe Biden being 81 and Donald Trump just turned 78. The voters are questioning if the oldest president of the US will have the mental agility to lead the country. Skepticism towards their candidates, however, has not stopped Biden or Trump from targeting double-hater voters. They both seem optimistic of wooing the bloc. Let's shift focus to the United Kingdom now. The betting scandal in the country has widened, with another Conservative Party official reportedly being investigated by the betting watchdog. According to reports, Nick Mason is the fourth Conservative official who is being investigated by UK's Gambling Commission for allegedly betting over the timing of the election. Earlier, Tony Lee, Laura Saunders and Craig Williams were named in the scandal and are at present being investigated by the election watchdog. The widening scandal has further damaged Conservatives' attempt to catch the opposition Labour Party, which is far ahead in opinion polls in the run-up to the election. In a statement to the media, Conservative Party spokesperson said, and I'm quoting, "By the Gambling Commission, we are not permitted to discuss any matter related to any investigation with the subject or any other person. The Gambling Commission has not confirmed the names of those under investigation." Now, in his letter, Labour's National Campaign Coordinator has asked the regulator to make the names of the Tories under investigation public. He said, and I'm quoting, "There will be particular interest in whether any government ministers bet on the date of the election before it was called." Remember, on May 22nd, Sunak, the UK Prime Minister, announced that the country will go to polls in July. This despite him having time until January 2025, that's next year, to hold the elections. The July 4th date had been closely guarded. In fact, many people within Sunak's governing Conservative Party were taken by surprise when the announcement was made. Now, to take this story further, we are being joined by Mike Buckley. He's a senior journalist and political commentator joining us live from UK. Mr. Buckley, thank you so much for joining us here on WION. Good to see you. What do you make of it, this new betting scandal that we are seeing playing out as we speak? How does this affect the Tories in the July 4th elections?
It's very bad for them because it's a story that just isn't going to go away at all. It's been running in the press here for quite a number of days now. It looks like it's going to continue to run, partly because, of course, these are ongoing investigations, but also because there are rumours that there are more Conservative candidates or staffers who have placed bets and are now and will be under investigation by the Gambling Commission, and indeed could potentially be under investigation by their own political party or even by the police. So this is a story that looks like it will just run right up until the general election. And of course, what it says to the general public is that the Conservative Party is full of people who don't take politics seriously, who've abused their positions, whether as candidates or as staffers, for their own financial gain, rather than a group of people who are genuinely servants of the British people and want to do right by people who effectively want to play by the rules that everybody else has to play by. So it's very, very bad for them. But for them, it does key into a wider sense among the public that the Conservatives are just quite corrupt and not really to be trusted anymore.
Right. And also, all the opinion polls we are tracking at the moment show that the Labour is going to form the government after 14 years of Tory rule in the UK. The betting scandal, of course, is going to have an impact on the Tories, as you said, but definitely benefit the Labour. What are some of the recent challenges that the Labour Party is going to face right after the elections?
Well, assuming Labour does win the election, and Labour is not complacent on that front, although you're right, all the polls do seem to point in that direction. I mean, Labour faces a mountain of challenges to deal with. Our economy here has done very badly, for the last 14 years while the Conservatives have been in office. So that's going to make things difficult for the Labour Party when they get in, because their stated aim is to get the economy growing more quickly, partly, of course, to benefit people's lives, but also so that the government themselves get a bigger tax take, which they can then spend on improving public services. The Labour Party also faces the big challenge of the fact that public services have been run down hugely in the last 14 years under the Conservatives, most notably the NHS, the health service, but also many other services as well. And then, of course, Labour faces other challenges abroad. I mean, the Russia-Ukraine crisis isn't going away. The Gaza crisis isn't going away, very sadly, on both counts. So Labour will need to step up not just at home, but also abroad as well.
All right, Mr. Buckley, thank you so much for joining us here on WION and getting us your insights.
Thank you.
Let's shift focus now. Iran is just days away from conducting presidential elections, with polling due to be held on June 28th. Candidates whose eligibility was cleared by Iran's Guardian Council are pulling all stops in their campaigns. Presidential candidate Masoud Pezeshkian addressed a rally in Tehran. The reformist lawmaker raised the issue of West-imposed sanctions on Iran. The sanctions, levied primarily by the United States, have further worsened Iran's economic crisis.
If these people vote for me, I will be on their side. And I promise you that I'll never lie to you. Never. We must break this dam of sanctions. We must ruin those who benefit from sanctions. Those who benefit thousands of billions from these sanctions. And nobody knows. We will stand against them.
In another part of the Iranian capital, presidential candidate Saeed Jalili held a campaign rally at Sharif University in Tehran, promising the supporters that he was committed to protecting the country against foreign interference. Former chief nuclear negotiator Jalili, who in 2001 ran Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei's office for 4 years, cited his past role as a press conference at the university. Conservative candidate Jalili said that Iran should not be put on hold over negotiations with a small number of countries. He made the remarks referring to the negotiations revived 2015 nuclear deal, and former nuclear negotiator Jalili said that he has seen a serious critic of the nuclear deal.
I was one of the first nuclear negotiators myself. I was aware of the process and we pursued it, but we were on the path of defending people's interests and rights, not destroying them. And whatever our nuclear scientists have provided will be sent abroad.
Jalili has been one of the first heavyweights to register in the upcoming presidential race. He made an unsuccessful bid in 2013 for the presidency and withdrew from the 2021 race to support Raisi, whose death has triggered the elections. Let's now take a look at what else is making news in the world of elections and politics. New Caledonia is back in the headlines. French authorities have arrested and transferred 7 pro-independence activists who were linked to a group that has been accused of orchestrating deadly riots in the French overseas territory last month. The arrests have triggered fresh protests on the island territory, once again bringing the controversial voting reforms back into the spotlight. Among the detainees is Christian Teen, head of the pro-independence group CSAT, who was charged in connection to the recent violence in which 9 people lost their lives, including 2 police personnel. Over a month after elections, lawmakers in North Macedonia approved a new nationalist-dominated government on Sunday. The government is being led by Prime Minister Mikoksi, whose party won general elections in May, and the coalition has been formed by his VMRO-DPMNE party, the Albanian Alliance of VLEN, VREDI and Znam party, amid criticism from the opposition that has called him of being manipulative and secretive about proposed reforms in his first time as Prime Minister. And with that, we are wrapping up this edition of Race to Power. Thanks for watching with me, Ananya Datta. Goodbye.
India's Global Voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Namaste. Hello friends. We did Dr. Subhash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018. 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to restart again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION.